My name's Dave DeBow, founder of MoneyPartnerFormula.com, and this show is built for everyday real estate investors who are actively doing deals and looking to scale using other people's money. So if you're an active real estate investor and you want to get featured on this show to talk about your own real estate and capital raising experiences, then just go to daveinterviewsyou.com. Now let's get rolling with this episode, and remember to subscribe for daily interview content. Hey gang, welcome back. Today, zooming in from Kansas City, we have a real estate developer with a ton of experience. Chad Reisinger has been doing this for quite some time, and he does development on a variety of different kinds of asset classes. And I was just talking with Chad a little bit before we started the recording. Things are starting to really boom in Kansas City. So Chad, welcome to the show. Great to have you.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
So Chad, give us a little overview of you and your company and what you guys do. Like what's your primary focus these days in 2026?
Yeah, well, we're developers. We're infrastructure led. So not to go back too far, but right out of high school, I joined the union here in Kansas City and was bringing infrastructure out of the ground on some of the biggest, exciting projects here in Kansas City. And that's what really got me hooked in construction and really starting those projects. I was super bored on the projects where we were just tenant finish and, putting in light bulbs and things like that. I mean, I wanted to be in the field, putting in the infrastructure. And so that's really what got me started in the industry. I kind of call myself a blue collar developer. So I started building homes as well and really did well with that and just following around my mentors, the developers, and going from development to development, buying lots from them, building houses, and then eventually getting into my own developments.
Very cool. So these days, what kind of developments do you do primarily? What's the main focus of your company?
A little bit of everything. We look at, what is the highest, best use for a property, and we also cater to the higher demand areas where there's good schools, it's safe. That's places where the direction of the development is going. And so we are not trying to buck the system or go into tertiary markets where it's a little bit of a gamble. We just stick with what we feel like are just the best places to be. I'm actually sitting in a self-storage facility right now that we built, and we finished it a couple of years ago. It's completely leased up. We're keeping it. We're, and operating that. We've got a single family subdivision in Blue Springs on a golf course. And so we look for niches like that as well. We are the only development around on a golf course in the, within 10 miles of here. So things like that we really look for and then take advantage of.
Yeah. Cool. So self-storage, single family home communities, anything else that you build?
Yeah, we're doing multifamily as well. Of course, we're looking at BTR. Everybody's talking about it, and it is making sense in a lot of these areas to do. And so talking with city staff and those things, getting some balls rolling on that. We're looking at more master plan communities, 160 acre mixed use development. There'll be a commercial aspect of it, and then bring in single family and multifamily type of aspect to it and really create that community. And we're focused on a streetscape type model right now where there's,
what is that?
Trees on both sides of the road through major collectors up the subdivision, walkable path through the entire project. And really the idea being you could take a bike ride or a walk through the neighborhood, a 30-minute walk through the neighborhood and never actually leave the footprint of the neighborhood and just make it very walkable and outdoor oriented.
Well, that's exciting. So 160 acres, when it all comes to fruition, what does that kind of look like as a mix of single family houses, townhouses, multifamily, commercial? What does that kind of look like? Paint the picture for me.
Yeah, it's really, you've got your duplex and your fourplex style development, probably about 120 of those mixed in with a higher density single family. Some call it like a patio home. Okay. We like to mix those in together so that it doesn't create a pocket of, well, these are duplexes, these are fourplexes, and these are the single family homes. That kind of creates like invisible barriers or something.
Yeah.
You know, we like to kind of commingle those things in. And we do build for sale on a lot of that. We're not, that isn't our model for like build to rent. Where, you know, when we look at it as how can we create affordability, and a lot of the newer models that we're doing are a duplex that actually looks like a single family home from the front. So very aesthetically pleasing from the front. You've got your front entry for one of the units and a side entry with a porch on the side. But from the front, 2-car garage, single family home look. And that's been very popular with the municipalities. And we're also bringing that to be able to create a fee simple scenario where each side of the duplex can be purchased. And so
very cool.
About 120 of those plus the higher density single family. And then moving through the development, you'll go to the larger lots. It'll step up to an 1,800 square foot, 2,000 square foot, 2,200 square foot, and creating amenities like lakes and things like that. Now, if you're a developer on here, you know you're really building a stormwater detention basin. But
we see it as a lake. Yeah.
It's a lake.
A lake sounds a hell of a lot better than that.
Yes. And so we don't mind those really, because if you create it the right way and it's aesthetically pleasing, then you can also sell lots around that lake, and they actually bring
lakefront home.
Yeah. And so it's a win-win. And so really what that creates is a system where, you know, if you wanted to, you know, have an entry level home and you're buying your first home, but then your family's growing and you don't want to leave your friends in the neighborhood, you've got an option right there within that neighborhood to step up to a bigger home and even step back down and still.
So you mentioned something about commercial as well. So what kind of commercial would be in a development like that?
Well, yeah. So then what typically happens when you sit down with city staff is they want to see some sort of commercial lit, you know, that brings in the sales tax and revenue and things like that. So we do dedicate some of that, and it's usually just neighborhood stuff. I mean, it's nothing major. It's usually a strip center, or we like to do more outlaw type stuff individually, you know, architecturally on all four side type buildings that really create just, you know, each one. But we do put in the strip mall type stuff and things like that. And then really it's kind of driven too by what the demand is and what kind. We try and bring in the partners on that as well from the beginning and kind of plan for that. They typically like to see the houses go in first, but we do have an idea of who's going to go there. And then when the timing's right, we give them a call and we move in that direction as well.
Hey there, if you're a capital raiser, a syndicator, or a fund manager, and you're looking for a steady flow of incoming accredited investor leads, then go ahead, grab a free copy of my new book, How to Get 20 Accredited Investor Meetings Every Month Without Cold Calling, Networking, or Chasing People. You can get that at 20accreditedinvestorsbook.com. Again, that's the number 20accreditedinvestorsbook.com. Very interesting. So this sounds very, very ambitious. Have you done some communities like this already, Chad?
Yeah, absolutely. We've done communities like this. We typically partner on them. We're moving into doing more of our own. So there are developers that we've partnered with on those, taking on large pockets of the property for the lots and the development part of that, but really bringing in our own style to new development that we want to do for ourselves.
So Chad, there's a whole bunch of different phases in development. Part of it's like finding that perfect piece of farmland that hasn't been rezoned yet and going through all that rigmarole and then, you know, phase by phase by phase. Sounds like you like to jump in when you know that it's a solid concept, or do you start from ground zero sometimes as well?
Yeah, sometimes when you think something's right in the path of growth and you go into it, it's still a long ways away.
Yeah.
And so you can really you really don't know until you get into the room with staff and really start talking about it. It just starts with that, a conversation with city staff and really putting forward your vision. I like to do that right up front and really get their feedback as well. A lot of times I find out when I'm using their feedback, it's hard to say no. If it was their idea.
You just told me that this is where we're going. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
So you do start from ground zero sometimes and get things rezoned and whatnot, but only after you're 110% sure that the city's on board.
Yeah. Typically. So the last one, or the one we're finishing up now, we had to rezone. We had to actually annex into the city and then zone that property and bring it all the way through preliminary plat as well. And so through that process, really cities we're not looking for an uphill battle. That's why I think that conversation is important right up front. Yeah. And so if there's a path forward and they want to see that, then that's when we really put the boots to the ground.
So with one of these projects, like the 160 acre one that you painted a picture of for us, typically like from when you start the development until it's all kind of tied up with a bow, what's the time frame for that?
Yeah, so we like to negotiate a takedown schedule with the sellers on 160 acres, and so really that creates it lowers risk and really creates an attainable timeline for the process, and that usually looks like about 40 acres at a time, breaking in about 100 lots. And we might do that phase 1A, phase 1B, where we just want to get some streets in and get started, get some upfront infrastructure in. If we can final plat 50 of that, then we'll do that. And we'll start about a year and a half to get infrastructure in, get engineering done first, and then get infrastructure in. And then moving through that, about 1 to 3 years, then 3 to 5 years, and then you're closing on the last portion of that within 5 years and building it out in year 6, year 7, in a perfect world.
Yeah. Which one sometimes happens. Yeah, but that's kind of the time frame you're looking at. This is like a 7 to 10 year project kind of thing.
Yeah, and that timing really comes from your builders. When you sit down and have a conversation with your builders and you're asking them, well, how many lots do you want to take down? What's your goals for next year? How many did you build last year? What are your goals for this year? Right. And are you looking for lots? And so sometimes that means bringing 2 or 3 builders in to really fit the schedule. But ideally 1 or 2. And then you've really and ideally 1 or 2, and then they're working on 2 separate parts of the project, 2 different models. So they're not competing on, on the same level. We've got the duplex guy going, and then the single family part of it going too.
How about you guys? Do you do any build out yourselves, or are you focus on just kind of setting everything up and getting the infrastructure in?
We're busy enough with putting in the infrastructure and staying ahead of builders. And, we just really like to focus on that and just really vertically integrate from there and stay in our niche, stay in the lane.
Yeah. Well, that's smart. So even though you guys might not be doing the vertical side of the build out, there's still a massive, and you're taking it out chunk by chunk, which is very, very smart. There's still a massive capital outlay, I would imagine, for doing these kind of projects. Do you guys work with investors and raise capital for that? Do you self-finance all of that? What does that typically look like, Chet?
A lot of our projects are self-financed. We just like to bring in our own equity and do the project. And when they make sense, really the banks that we work with, the local banks, they really are accommodating to what we do, especially with our experience. Incentives do play a part in some ways. So if we can bring in, an incentives package, then we bring in the bank as well for that part of it. And then we do raise capital for our projects. We are getting we're getting bigger and the projects are getting bigger, and there's a lot of opportunity out there. So that we want to kind of create, momentum through this process. This project's in entitlements. This project is under construction. This project
is in multiple at the same time.
Yeah, and that's going to take capital. That's for sure.
So do you typically raise from like institutional type capital, family offices, or individual retail investors when you are raising money?
RIAs play a big part in what we do. We like they source the projects for us, and they have their partners that are looking for a more alternative investment sometimes, because there's, you're always going to offer your typical stocks and bonds. But what makes some companies unique is that, well, hey, you've been doing this and that's great, but what about this alternative investment? Taking a look at some real estate, some self-storage or a development. And I think that helps them cater to their clients more as well, looking for that different option that might be out there, a little bit of spice.
Yeah, well, that's great. Hey, Chad, congratulations. Sounds like things are going great guns. If people would like to connect with you, what's the best way for them to do that?
Go to the website, take a look at it. You can get a hold of me from there, but the website is reisingerdevelopmentkc.com, and check out what we do, and then send me a line.
Awesome, Chad. Thanks so much for being on the show, and keep up the good work.
You bet. Thanks a lot.
All right, everybody. See you on the next one. Hey there. I really hope you enjoyed that episode. And as always, if you want to listen to more daily interview content, make sure you subscribe. And if you're an active real estate investor and you're doing deals and you'd like to get featured on this show, then just head over to daveinterviewsyou.com.